They said the Oak Island mystery was over, that every tunnel and secret had already been exposed on camera. But then, out of nowhere, a file appeared online. No watermark, no credits, just a cryptic title, Oak Island, Restricted Archive Footage. Minutes later, it vanished, but not before a few viewers caught what looked like Rick Lagina and his team digging in complete secrecy. No crew, no lights, only flood lamps cutting through the dark, and something metallic glinting deep underground. What they found wasn't part of any televised episode. It was something else entirely. Something powerful enough to trigger an immediate lockdown of the site. Before we dive in, make sure to like and subscribe, because what follows was never meant to see the light of day. The footage begins under blinding floodlights slicing through thick fog. Generators hum, a backhoe idles. At the center, Rick Lagina, face half-lit, directing the dig like a man racing against time. No producers, no network crew, just Rick, Marty, and two unidentified workers in plain gear. The timestamp only deepens the mystery. 3 weeks after the official season wrapped, when the island was supposed to be sealed and permits expired. So why was Rick back, and why was this filmed in total secrecy? Within hours, Oak Island forums exploded. Some claimed it was test footage, others said government involvement. But anyone who knows Rick's face could see it. This wasn't curiosity driving him. It was fear. Then came the sound, a steady mechanical roar as the rig drilled deep into the earth. The camera jolted, refocused, then caught a faint metallic reflection underground. One of the men leaned in and said something barely audible. "It's the chamber signal. It's finally real." And then chaos. A shout cuts through the noise. "It's hollow!" The drill stops. Lights flare. The crew freezes. In that frozen moment, you can hear Marty's voice whisper, "Don't film this." But it was too late. Someone already had. Hours later, digital investigators began tearing the footage apart. Frame by frame, second by second. That's when they found it. The coordinates. Not part of the overlay, not a prop, but embedded in the GPS metadata from the recording device itself. And those numbers didn't point to the money pit. They pointed somewhere else entirely. A dense patch of forest east of Smith's Cove, a sector closed by Nova Scotia's Department of Natural Resources since 2019. The reason listed? Geological instability. No public footage, no access, no explanation. So why was Rick digging there at 3:14 a.m.? Why was the show's main production team never informed? And why, when this footage surfaced, did History Channel issue takedown notices faster than any other Oak Island leak in history? In one of the clearer frames, you can see Rick holding a rugged tablet screen toward the light. On it, glowing lines, seismic waveforms mapped across underground rock. But these weren't random distortions. They formed a deliberate pattern, a hexagonal void, nearly 40 feet wide and perfectly symmetrical. A formation no natural fault could ever create. Forensic analysts who studied the data called it a vault signature, the kind of geometric imprint left behind by artificial chambers, sealed with dense mineral layering to mask radar scans. And as the footage zooms closer, you can see Rick trace the shape on screen with one shaking finger, whispering a single word: vault. Whatever they found that night wasn't part of any sanctioned dig. It wasn't logged, cleared, or meant to exist on record. But once those coordinates surfaced, everything changed. Analysts matched the data to a restricted zone near Smith's Cove, an area officially closed for geological instability. Within hours, satellite pings showed new machinery operating there under the cover of darkness. The leaked footage picks up from that moment. The screen flickers in near darkness, static crawling across the edges as the hum of generators fades into the sharp rhythm of handheld scanners. On screen, seismic lines pulse, then converge into a perfect hexagon buried deep beneath the cove. No natural formation could explain it. Rick's voice breaks through, low and unsteady. It's not natural. Someone built this, Marty, standing close behind, mutters about pattern symmetry, how it mirrors catacomb chambers beneath southern France. The air tightens. They all know what he's suggesting. Templar architecture, buried right under Oak Island. One of the unknown workers lowers a ground-penetrating probe, and the display shows hollow resonance. That's air, he says. Rick doesn't hesitate. Then we go in. Marty protests, mentioning flood traps, pressure buildup, every risk that's ever haunted Oak Island digs. But Rick doesn't care. We've been chasing ghosts for years, he snaps. This is solid. He signals the driller. The bit grinds downward, sparks scattering through the mist. Mud erupts, then abruptly, silence. The sound of metal against metal echoes from below. Someone shouts, "It hit something hard!" The recording jumps. When it stabilizes, they're already knee-deep in freshly dug clay. Floodlights trained on an uneven sandstone wall. Something glints through the dirt. The camera zooms in. A line, thin, perfect, forming a rectangular outline. Rick brushes it with his glove. It's a door. They scrape away more, uncovering what looks like an ancient seal fused into the stone. Under UV light, faint etchings glow. Crosses, layered one over another, overlapping like a code. One of the workers steps closer, whispering that he's seen those markings before. Etched into relics stored in a Portuguese monastery, said to have ties to the Templar order. Rick's expression changes. The excitement drains from his face, replaced by something heavier. "This isn't supposed to be here," he murmurs. The team sets up pry tools, bracing for a rush of water. But when the seal cracks, nothing happens. No flood, no collapse. Just the hiss of pressurized air escaping a space that hasn't breathed in centuries. Rick peers through the opening. The camera catches a narrow tunnel descending into complete blackness. "It's air-sealed," Marty confirms, astonished. Rick lowers his flashlight into the void. The beam reveals steps, hand-carved, spiraling downward in perfect symmetry. "Someone wanted this hidden," he says, voice echoing against the stone. They widen the gap and slip through one by one, vanishing into the unknown. The descent begins. The footage grows unstable, grainy. The tunnel walls twist around them in a smooth spiral, each turn carved from a single piece of solid rock. Every few meters, faint engravings appear. Roman numerals, Latin phrases, small geometric sigils burned into the stone. Rick reads one aloud as the camera pans across it. "Custodiet aurum sacrum." Guard the sacred gold. His words linger in the narrow passage, swallowed by the echo of their footsteps. The deeper they go, the more impossible it becomes to believe this structure was made by human hands in the colonial era. The air grows heavier, metallic. The sound of dripping water disappears entirely, replaced by the low hum of silence. The camera light sweeps over what looks like rails embedded into the floor. Old, rusted, but unmistakably tracks, as if carts once ran through here, carrying something far heavier than Earth. Then the beam catches movement, or what looks like it. Shadows stretch across the stone, but when they turn, there's no one there. The cameraman steadies the lens, breathing fast. They continue downward until the staircase ends abruptly at a flat platform. Dust covers everything, but at the far edge, slumped against the wall, lies the unmistakable shape of a human form. Rick approaches slowly, brushing away sediment. The body's a skeleton, still wrapped in the tattered remains of a miner's uniform, the fabric style dating to the early 1800s. A rusted pickaxe rests beside it. Whatever they were digging for, they never made it back up. Rick kneels beside the remains, his light trembling as it moves across the floor. More bones appear, scattered, unburied, clustered around a collapsed section of tunnel. The camera pans over one skull, jaw still open as if caught mid-scream. Marty steps closer, voice barely above a whisper. "They found it first," he says. Rick looks at him, face pale under the flickering light. Then something buried them with it. The air down there feels alive, vibrating faintly against the microphones. Dust swirls in the light beams, forming shapes that almost resemble writing before fading away. Rick raises the tablet again, scanning the space. The readings spike. "We're standing on top of something huge," he says, "and it's not just rock." The feed flickers violently, image glitching as if the interference comes from beneath their feet. For a split second before the cut, a faint metallic flash pierces the dust, like gold igniting in darkness. When the footage stabilizes again, the team has moved deeper. The tunnel curves sharply, and the beam of Rick's lamp sweeps across a massive bronze surface embedded in the rock. Circular, ancient, and unmistakably crafted by human hands. 7 iron slots line its face, each shaped to hold a key. None of them brought keys. The crew stands silent, the only sound a slow drip echoing off stone. Marty steps forward, tracing one of the keyholes. The 4th slot is already turned halfway. He pulls back, uneasy. "Someone opened this before us." The air feels heavier now, almost charged. They try to pry it, wedge it, even drill around the edges. But nothing gives. It's as if the door is fused to the rock itself. Then Rick notices something odd. One of the wall's old torch brackets looks newer, recently polished. He grips it and twists. A deep mechanical clunk reverberates through the stone. Slowly, impossibly, the bronze circle begins to rotate. Dust rains from the ceiling as ancient gears grind to life, echoing like thunder. The crew backs away, covering their mouths as a gust of stale air pushes out from behind the seal. The door slides aside, revealing a hollow black void beyond their lights. Rick steps in first. His boots crunch on something brittle. Old wood, fragments of bone, who knows? The camera follows, and for the first time, light spills into the space beyond. A cavernous chamber stretches out before them, its ceiling glittering like a galaxy. The entire roof is coated in mirrored quartz, catching their flashlight beams and scattering them across the walls in a cascade of reflected brilliance. It's as if the room itself is alive, breathing light. The crew's movements echo endlessly, multiplied by the reflective ceiling until it feels like they're surrounded by their own shadows. The floor is uneven, littered with crates half buried in silt and debris. The wood is centuries old but intact. The surface is stamped with a familiar double-cross symbol, one used by the Knights Templar. Rick crouches beside a crate, brushing away dust. He pries it open, and the light catches what's inside. Dull gold bars, small and heavy, each stamped with an engraving that reads, London, 1914. Marty stares, speechless. This isn't medieval treasure. This is 20th century gold. The kind lost during wartime transport. Rick flips one over, recognizing the mark from old shipping ledgers. It's the Halifax consignment, he whispers, the one that vanished in the harbor explosion. History books claim the Halifax shipment, a secret British gold transfer meant to fund war efforts, was lost when a munition ship detonated in 1917. But here, deep beneath Oak Island, sits its cargo, untouched. The realization shakes everyone. If this was here, who moved it? How did it end up sealed behind a Templar-style vault, centuries older than the shipment itself? As they explore deeper, the camera catches the gleam of something different among the crates. Stone instead of wood, its surface covered in engraved Latin and a carved Templar cross. Rick brushes it clean and finds a lid, sealed with ancient wax. He cracks it open, and inside lies a bundle of parchments wrapped in decayed leather. The edges crumble under his touch, but enough remains to reveal hand-drawn maps of Nova Scotia, marked with tunnels and intersecting lines that converge directly under Oak Island. Along the top margin, a phrase written in faded ink reads Codex Aurii. Rick unfolds one parchment fully, revealing diagrams of vaults labeled in archaic French, each tied to coordinates that match known points on the island's grid. Smith's Cove, Borehole 10X, the Swamp. These weren't random dig sites. They were mapped centuries earlier. Marty reads one of the lines aloud. Aurum in terra custoditum sub signo duplici. Gold in the earth, guarded under the double sign. It's the same double-cross symbol carved into the crates. Beneath the maps lies another smaller scroll. A message written in elegant handwriting, reclaimed for the temple in exile, A.D. 1753. The ink still dark, the meaning unmistakable. The Templar descendants, long thought destroyed after the Order's fall, had survived. They'd moved their caches piece by piece across the Atlantic. The implication is staggering. The gold found here wasn't just misplaced wartime bullion. It was part of a lineage of secret transfers stretching back hundreds of years. Marty lowers his light, struggling to process it. They used the Halifax gold to replace what was taken before, he says quietly, to keep the vault alive. Rick looks back toward the entrance, eyes wide. The weight of centuries presses down around them. The mingling of myth and reality, of religion and greed. Every generation added its own layer to the mystery, using the same ground, the same codes, the same silence. The camera pans slowly across the chamber. Rows of crates, the mirrored ceiling above, the bronze door now locked behind them. Every reflection doubles their image until it feels like the Templars themselves are standing there, watching. Rick lifts one of the ingots again, light flickering off its edge. This was never about one treasure, he murmurs. It's a network. The footage begins to distort again, static creeping in, as the last clear frames show Rick clutching the Templar chest, his eyes fixed on a side tunnel branching into darkness. A faint metallic hum rises from within, steady, mechanical, impossibly deep. The image stutters, collapses into black, and for several seconds there's only the low pulse of interference. When the picture returns, it's from the same camera, tilted, half buried in debris. Voices overlap through the distortion, echoing down the stone corridor. The parchment Rick had been reading, the one referencing Codex Ari, now lies crumpled on the floor. His gloves are streaked with dust and something darker, metallic. Marty's voice cuts through the static. "Rick, look around. Half of it's gone." The camera steadies just enough to show the chamber again, but everything has changed. Crates lie splintered, their lids torn away, contents stripped out. Only a handful of broken ingots glint faintly in the dust. The rest vanished. Rick steps forward, his breathing sharp and uneven. "Who touched this?" he shouts off camera. No one answers. The feed picks up faint murmurs, unidentifiable voices arguing in low tones. He turns toward the noise, and for a moment, silhouettes flicker against the quartz reflections. Figures standing near the entrance tunnel, not part of his crew. "We weren't alone down here," Marty whispers. The camera zooms in just enough to catch movement. One of the unknown men dragging a tarp-covered object toward the passage. Another is carrying a heavy black case marked with a stenciled crown insignia. Rick's voice cracks with anger. "You can't just take this. This is evidence." The response comes cold, authoritative, filtered through a respirator mask. "This never happened." Bury it again. The tone isn't a threat. It's a command. The camera shifts violently as if someone tries to snatch it away. Then the footage cuts to static. Metadata from the leaked file shows a perfect gap of 12 minutes. Not corrupted, deleted, intentionally. When the video resumes, the atmosphere has changed completely. The chamber lights are dimmer, their reflections dull on the quartz ceiling. The crates are gone. The bronze door has been resealed. Rick stands near the center, shoulders slumped, hands trembling. Marty is filming now, voice quiet. "They said we can't talk about it," he says, half to himself. "They said we could lose the rights, the permits, everything." Rick doesn't respond. He just stares at the sealed door and says softly, "Then it was never ours to begin with." Above ground, the leak spreads before anyone can contain it. Within hours, the footage is mirrored across servers, reposted under fake accounts, dissected by thousands of amateur analysts. The clip of the metal door alone racks up millions of views before vanishing. By morning, every copy hosted on major platforms is gone, scrubbed clean, replaced with copyright claims from shell companies no one can trace. 2 days later, all excavation access around Smith's Cove is revoked by Nova Scotia authorities. Official reason: subsurface instability. But locals living near the shoreline start noticing unusual activity. Barges arrive at night with their running lights off. Temporary scaffolding goes up under tarps. A fisherman anchored off the eastern inlet records faint flashes of white light flickering through the trees. "Looked like welding," he says in the leaked report, "like they were sealing something shut." Satellite data from the same window shows containers being moved across the island. 3 large rectangular units loaded onto a covered barge that departs toward the mainland before dawn. The next day, the coordinates of that barge vanish from maritime tracking systems. Someone shut the transponder off mid-route. The History Channel issues a short press statement. Unauthorized content, believed to be manipulated, has circulated online. No credible link exists between this material and official Oak Island operations. But the wording is strange. No direct denial, just a distancing. And insiders claim that production was temporarily suspended for security reasons. Meanwhile, whispers spread among local contractors. Some talk of new security teams brought in under private contracts. No logos, No identifiable vehicles, just unmarked SUVs and uniformed personnel patrolling near the restricted zone. One worker swears he saw crates loaded into a military transport truck on the mainland dock 2 days after the leak. The markings? Same double-cross symbol seen in the footage. In the weeks that follow, divers attempt to approach the area near Smith's Cove under cover of darkness. They find disturbed seabed, fresh trenches carved into the ocean floor, sediment displacement consistent with recent heavy excavation. One diver reports a shimmer in the water, flecks of gold dust suspended like glitter near the shoreline. The sample he collects later tests positive for refined bullion composition, matching early 1900s British mint standards. Speculation explodes. If what they removed was the Halifax gold, why the secrecy? And what about the older relics, the Templar artifacts, the parchments? The official silence only fuels the fire. Conspiracy forums start mapping every historical Templar site against Nova Scotia's coastline, discovering patterns that form geometric alignments pointing back to Oak Island. Theories multiply, some claiming the island was just one vault in a global chain. Archaeologists who review the footage privately note inconsistencies in the chamber's architecture. Medieval design, layered with modern reinforcement. Someone had entered that vault more than once over the centuries. Someone had maintained it. A few experts even speculate that the Halifax shipment may have been intentionally hidden within the existing Templar vault, disguised as an accident to protect the gold from wartime theft. That would explain the 1914 stamps and the silence that followed. Rick Lagina has never spoken publicly about the footage. Neither has Marty. When pressed in later interviews, both deflect, referring vaguely to rumors and digital fabrications. But crew members who left the production around that same time described sudden non-disclosure agreements and the confiscation of personal equipment. One former sound engineer said his external drive was taken for review and never returned. Months pass, and the island falls quiet again. The once busy dig site remains under restriction. Tour boats are turned away. A new perimeter fence appears near Smith's Cove, lined with warning signs citing active geological risk. But late at night, fishermen still report the hum of machinery, low, constant, like pumps or drills operating deep underground. Independent researchers who managed to scan the island from offshore claim they still detect subsurface voids, multiple ones, arranged in a precise triangular formation radiating outward from the cove. Whatever was beneath Oak Island wasn't a single vault. It was a network, and only one section had been uncovered. Geologists estimate that if the full chamber system still exists, the untouched sections could contain deposits exceeding $100 million in modern value. But to others, the gold was only camouflage. The real treasure, they argue, was the documentation. The proof that the Knights Templar not only escaped Europe, but established a functioning refuge in the New World centuries before Columbus. The Codex Aurea wasn't just a ledger of wealth, it was a map of a secret lineage.
She's hard. Move.
Oh!
What?
It wasn't what I thought. It's actually got like a bit of quartz to it.
Yeah, that's that shallow schist. Stop.
Ooh.
But that, what your, the big chunk is not. That's reef. You pull those bits out. You just pop all that aside. Polly, go. Move.
Hard as a cat's head.
Okay, you've got movement in that,
That rock?
yeah, that big chunk there. That's a bit, yeah. He's coming out.
Come on, baby. Get out. Get out. Alright. Get it.
Oh. Okay. Now try Jimmy it from the other side down there because we want to get that bit out whole.
Yeah.
Move, girl, move.
That's lady.
And so that's getting all that fisty shit off.
Oh,
You
the
right?
chook's done.
There you go.
Go, Steve. Go, Steve. It's like the jar.
Might pick.
It's like the jar, Steve. You I loosened the jar for you, really. Come here, Polly. Come here. Yes.
Okay, this is it. Yeah, we're going to take all this shit. Okay.
Is it gold?
Where's the pin pointer?
Is it gold?
Yes, it's gold, all right.
It is gold. I can see it. Oh, it's fucking reef.
So you're going to take all this, look at this. There.
Oh, the chooky's gonna cry.
Yeah, good on you.
Oh,